You can be free of the anonymity and secrecy that you endured for so many years. You'll no longer need to play the victim as you squeak about mortgage helpers. You'll be legit, but here's the thing. Like any legit business, us, your neighbors, will expect transparency and accountability.
Vancouver, BC has some of the most unaffordable housing in the world. I'm Chase with Prism Media, and we're going to go talk to a few people and understand who exactly this crisis affects, why it exists to begin with, and what we can do to put an end to it. So let's go.
It's worth $31 billion. It uses residential housing as its inventory. Our housing. And when I say housing, I mean our apartments, secondary suites, studio units, and laneway homes. The little places, the affordable places. This housing already exists. It doesn't need to be zoned, funded, or built. And yet we have looked the other way as websites like Airbnb secreted them from our residential stock at a cancerous rate. People are taking to the streets and saying, enough. This is Vancouver. We are in a housing crisis. We did not consent to the commodification of our basement suites and laneway homes. We will not be complicit in the brokering of our rental and strata buildings. We will speak up and we will take back our housing. Homes, not hotels. Thank you.
They are so vulnerable and some are so addicted and having to survive here, which this winter is pretty mild, but not really when you're trying to save yourself from drafts and keep clean and try and have nutrition. The rents are so high that even private citizens are wanting to get that extra money because the taxes of land, the shortage of land, all of it, as we know.
And do you think that there's anything we can do as a collective or individually to help with this crisis going on?
We sure can. We can look out for one another. We can free up our homes and have rooms for rent. We can have our garages. We can make tiny homes. We can make trailer parks accessible. People are living in vans.
Yeah. So what do you think about the modular housing that's going in right now?
I think it's a good thing. These big, huge $1 million homes. Oh my Lord, that's just too much.
First Nations never had issues with wealth inequality and homelessness pre-contact. Both foreign concepts. So what does pet-friendly housing have to do with stolen native land? For starters, we share a common enemy. Like many of you, I had high hopes for this new provincial government. Now, I know this rally is focused on the provincial budget announcement coming tomorrow, but I would like to address the inaction of the city for just a moment. Besides, I've been working really hard on my concerned mayor face. Am I doing pretty well? I wonder how many hours he's spent practicing that in the mirror. As you probably know, the City of Vancouver pledged 10 sites for vaguely defined affordable housing. Yay, if the province and Fed will pay for it. That was 2 years ago. The reality is our city has an annual budget of $1.4 billion. The City of Vancouver spends $284 million annually on the police. Any idea how much they will spend on housing this year? $46 million, which is just below what they will spend on sewers and bike lanes.
My chant that you just experienced was think of the old money. because the old money's under threat from the new foreign investments. So it's like this clash of bizarreness about middle class people who are suffering. And we're here, we're like, you know what? There's lots of other people suffering too, and they're not rich. They're actually way poorer than these people. And it's just really tragic that they organize the way they do and silence people like myself online who have a different viewpoint, one that's been around much longer than they have.
That's fair, yeah. So you think that doing all this is just ridiculous?
No,
Or
that's not the point. It's
Right.
how they're going about it. Like, this could be way better with way more diverse voices. I actually asked them about that, and they said, we're very diverse.
diverse in what way?
I just see it all as like a parody. That's why I'm saying a parody. Like, think of the condo owners. They're suffering. They're multi-million-dollar condos. They're under threat of bigger condos taking over their neighborhoods. It's just absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, it's just this whole milquetoast, middle-class, white, cis-hetero people's settlers' viewpoints of what's happening here, right? And of course, we're diverse. I go to bingo.
We're here to disrupt the foreign investment narrative, which has become a kind of common sense that we think we need to seriously destroy.
Okay, and so why would you want to destroy that?
It's a narrative that centers the interests of the middle class and portions of the working class that have historically been able to afford home ownership. So it posits solutions that center those people and their need for home ownership, which is based on the violent occupation of stolen Indigenous land. So we feel that our response to the housing crisis has to center the people most marginalized and attend to their needs rather than the middle class and the the white working class.
Well, first of all, I guess I could say what we're doing out here right now, and that is getting folks to sign our petition, which was a big plank in the Jean Swanson campaign platform when she was running for city council for a rent freeze for at least 4 years in this town. But yeah, capitalism is kind of at the root of that. I mean, there's so much money being shoved into the global housing market. It's not just here in Vancouver. It's bad here in Vancouver, but I mean, there was a housing crisis and bubble in Kazakhstan a decade ago, for God's sake. But yeah, I mean, that's capitalism is driving the world down the drain exceedingly quickly.
And how about when Canadians' second most favorite thing is our socialized medical system, second after hockey. But yeah, when the second most favorite thing is our socialized medical system, I think socialism almost explains and justifies itself.
So all in all, some pretty decent points were raised in regards to Airbnb being the primary target here, the increasing housing pricing, and of course the rent pricing being the secondary targets. The counter-protesters seem to think that increasing the foreign buyers tax was code word for anti-Chinese immigration. And of course the Socialist Party of Canada are just enjoying being socialists. I'm Chase with Prism Media, and I'll see you next time.